You are listening to the It's Your Time podcast, and I'm your host, Certified Life Coach Michelle Arnold Burke. In today's episode, I'm discussing Mindset to Thrive in our new Women's Health series. Welcome to the It's Your Time podcast, the podcast where busy professionals like you get the practical solutions and support you need to gain control of your schedule so you can strive to be the best in your career, but without the stress and overwhelm. If you're looking to increase your energy and decrease your stress, you are in the right place. Hello. Welcome back to the podcast, friends. Okay, today I am starting a new series for the month of October around women's health. And I thought it would be a great opportunity, being that it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And I believe that is super important to promote. And I also believe that women and women's health consists of more than just our bikinis, right? Like more than breasts and pelvic health. So in today's episode, I want to start with the foundation of mindset. And I'm going to, each week in this month, touch on other topics around women's health. Now, I think that mindset is the foundation, because without proper thinking around what it means to take care of ourselves, we are going to be missing out. I want us, more of you, to be taking control of your well-being, and you have to be the one to step into ensuring that you are taking care of yourself. And listen, so many of us have thoughts like, I'll just do it myself. And if I want it to get done right, I have to do it on my own, right? We talk about that around work a lot of times. I am suggesting that maybe you start also bringing that kind of mindset into your health and well-being. It seems like quite a nice transition, right? So let's start with why mindset actually matters specific to health. To begin, your mindset affects your daily habits and your long-term goals. The results that you get in life have a direct correlation to the things that you do every day, including some of the smallest actions that you take. Look at your thinking on a daily basis. What are the stories that you're telling yourself? Things like, I don't have time for that. I'm too busy. I can't do that. They're all excuses. Unless, of course, you can look at your calendar and say, well, no, on this particular day, I have this, and this scheduled. But then you also want to get curious what your priorities are. And does that make sense that you have this, and that scheduled versus your health, right? I am going to fill you in on a little secret here, because we often say those things, I'm too busy, I can't do it, I don't have time, as if they are just the facts of life, especially the I'm too busy. I know so many of us say that. I, in fact, sometimes catch myself, or I don't have time. We all have time. We all have the same amount of time, to be completely frank, right? Now, what we do with the time is different, because we all choose to prioritize it in a different way. But telling yourself that you don't have the time to do the things that you want in order to feel better, that is not true. Let that land. Like, you're telling yourself a lie. And it's better to just kind of own up to that and recognize it so that you can decide if you want to keep telling yourself that, right? So maybe you want to do some food prep so that you have healthy options during the week, or maybe it's just simply getting a walk or a workout in. Whatever it is that you've decided is your health goal, telling yourself that you don't have time will, in fact, yield that result for you. But it's not because you don't have time. It's because you are thinking that you don't have time, which then has you feeling a certain way, sometimes overwhelmed and stressed. And to be honest, what I often find is when we're kind of stressed and overwhelmed and we say we don't have time and we don't know where to start, a lot of times we're sitting in inaction. So we're not doing much of anything. So the shift comes something maybe just as simple as telling yourself each day, I'll find a 10-minute window to get outside and take a walk. Or I am working to find 5 minutes in my morning to start doing meditation. When you can give yourself a minimum baseline, like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and stop telling yourself that you don't have any time, and stop telling yourself that the 5 minutes or the 10 minutes is not enough, well then, as James Clear says in his book, Atomic Habits, you are able to cast a vote for your future self. You begin to build those new habits in order to get the new results. And when you can move into that growth mindset, one of curiosity, one of asking your brain to find new solutions versus fixed mindset, telling yourself that you just can't, that's when you start to find possibilities that will help you reduce your overall stress, that will help you shift your energy and start recognizing that you are in control of not burning yourself out. I think there are so many women who are either in a state of burnout or who are feeling like they are on the verge of burnout. And a lot of times, burnout is because, number one, we haven't taken the time to get clear on where we want to say no. Wait, let me just say, maybe we are clear, but we just don't say it because we think we will hurt the other person or that they will have thoughts about us. Guess what? Most of the time, they are too busy thinking about themselves and they don't really care as much as we think they will. Or, you know what else? We can just allow them to have thoughts. They get to have their thoughts and not make it mean anything about us. But what is sometimes at the core of it is that we think within ourselves something like, oh, they will think I'm not doing it right, or, oh, they will think I'm lazy. And I want you to just take a moment to pause in these instances and consider what you think they are thinking is often what you are thinking about yourself. And when you can give yourself some grace and stop and recognize the chatter and decide on purpose what you want to think, that's when you can hit a little bit of the jackpot, my friends. So recognize that most of the time, what you think are facts in your life are often simply limiting beliefs. And limiting beliefs are deeply held thoughts that hold us back from reaching our full potential. And they can be tricky because they often are just running subconsciously. They are based on past experiences, maybe social conditioning, maybe fear, and they can create a barrier to personal growth and also your overall wellness. Things like self-doubt, maybe fear of failure, perfectionism, negative self-talk, fixed mindset, they all add up, or any combination really that keeps us stuck in patterns of inaction and prevents us from achieving our full potential. These are thoughts around the idea that self-care is selfish, for example, that you should overcome, and now overcoming them starts with recognizing these thoughts and consciously challenging them on purpose and with purpose to develop a more empowered and growth-oriented mindset. A mindset that recognizing when you take care of yourself, you are in fact helping others around you and being an example of what is possible for others who might be in a similar thought loop pattern. Okay, next step. Once you see the thinking, once you challenge some of the deeply held thoughts to keep you stuck, then you're able to start shifting your mindset and begin taking actionable steps that set you up, quite honestly, for success. And I know I mentioned Atomic Habits earlier. It's a great book, by the way. James Clear also talks about the ways to implement new habits that build the identity that you want. And they build them in a way that you will take out the barriers to your success. For example, let's say you want to work out. Do you put your sneakers in the bathroom ready to go so that it's right there after you brush your teeth or go to the bathroom to ensure that you get the workout in? And listen, I know it's not sexy, but I literally sleep in some of the clothes that I will work out in. Not the entire outfit, but most of it, so that I can give myself the ease by which I can just get my butt downstairs, right? I cannot give myself the excuse of not being ready. And I'm also very intentional in the morning. Listen, you all know I love Peloton. I love the movement. I love to work out. But honestly, when I wake up, there is a lot of chatter in my brain like, oh, you should just sleep in. Oh, you didn't have a good night's sleep. Oh, whatever it is. And I have to be very purposeful and telling myself, no, you know that you feel better after you get moving. Just start with 10 minutes, right? So that incorporates thinking in advance of what you're going to counter your brain, that the excuse that your brain is giving you, and also being willing to set that minimum baseline, to not be striving for perfection all of the time. And Clear also talks about stacking a habit, and it's another great tool in order to build on new habits that you're working on. So maybe you know that you do your coffee in the morning, and then you decide that once that's done, you do the 5-minute meditation or whatever it is that the habit is you want to implement. So it's on top of a habit that already exists. Now, when I say these things, I'm curious where your brain is going. Are you back to things like, oh, but I just don't have time for that? Or that doesn't sound like it's enough to make a difference? Instead of, I don't have time, tell yourself the truth. You are choosing not to do it. That is way more empowering than saying you don't have time, which is more of a victim mentality. And when we're in that victim mentality, the problem is that we often will not take action to make changes. Because let's say I said you had to do the 5 minutes of meditation a day, or else I was going to, I don't know, take your dog away or chop off your kid's pinky. I know, right? It's a bit harsh. My sister hates when I use that example, but it gets your attention, right? I guess I could also say, I'll pay you $1 million. That maybe sounds a little bit more of a positive twist, but we want to make sure that you see the difference, right? There is an alternative. You would five minutes in your day to do the meditation. So be honest. And the idea that 5 or 10 minutes of starting a new habit, which by the way, usually leads to a bit more than the 5 or 10 minutes once you get started, the idea that that isn't enough, question it. So not doing anything at all is better? No. Remember, your brain is designed to keep you safe, to avoid pain, and to seek pleasure. It really is just trying to keep things as is, and it serves up thoughts that will allow you to remain where you are, to remain safe. In fact, I'm going to talk more about nervous system regulation in another podcast, but even our nervous system, right? We are conditioned to be more likely to keep the hell of what we know versus the heaven of the unknown. Think about that. We are just designed to often stay in kind of the comfortable of what is versus actually venturing out and trying something new. But your job as the boss of your brain is to start thinking on purpose in order to get the new results. To start thinking, I can make lasting change being consistent versus I need to have everything to being perfect before I even get started. This is the idea of the compound effect. Darren Hardy, also another great book, I would suggest, or you could even just look him up on a TED Talk. Darren Hardy Compound Effect, so good. He really focuses on the importance and the benefits of implementing small changes over time to have lasting change in your life. Okay, so we talked about the importance of your mindset around health. We talked about how to start reframing, becoming aware of your thoughts, questioning them, asking yourself what else might be true here, and then starting to take small steps to change the thinking. And you know, I am not one for toxic positivity. So I am not saying that you go from, I don't have time, to something like, I have all of the time in the world and life is grand. No, it's going, as Patrick Sweeney says, the author of Fear is Fuel, it's going from A to not A. So it's going from, I don't have any time, to something maybe more in line with, I'm finding new ways to allot time for my self-care. You see the shift? It's not like, screw you all, I'm all in on self-care. It's not that. It's just, hey, maybe I can be open to finding some new ways to take care of myself. Or maybe it's just like, I'm figuring out how to begin implementing small areas of self-care each day. And once you start believing that new, not a thought, right? Guess what? Then you progress up the ladder to your next new thought, and then your next new thought. And as you build your thinking, you begin decreasing your stress, becoming more resilient, and truly increasing your overall health. Okay, friends, today I want you to think about one small mindset shift that you can begin implementing in a way that helps your overall health, and practice it. You have to practice it because you will likely go back to your old thinking. That is not a problem. I want you to really think about that because I think a lot of times when we start this work and we see how powerful our thinking is, then we often will shame ourselves that we shouldn't be thinking this. We should be thinking something different. No, our brain is always going to go to what has been the thoughts over and over and over and over again. So you're not doing it wrong. You just have practiced that original thought for so long that the neural pathway is ingrained. And getting to the new thinking requires practice, requires you to build new neural pathways. To start with the one small shift, practice the new thinking, and start taking actions to find new ways to take care of yourself. And then you begin implementing each new step consistently towards that better self-care. And that's when you will start seeing the changes in your life. Okay, friends, that is what I have for you today. And as we go through this month, I'm going to add more actionable tools. I want to talk about nervous system. I want to talk about menopause transition. So many fun things to talk about. I know, menopause transition. Yeah, woo, that's fun. I think it's so important, though, that we just get the foundation set with, in my opinion, one of the most important pieces of your wellness, the whole mindset and mental well being. Because if you're missing out on that, you will be missing out on the foundation of everything else that builds upon that. So that is what I have for you today. Let's meet back here next week. But for now, make it a great day. Take care. Did you know you can take this work to a deeper level with me one-on-one? Go to michelleburkecoaching.com and click on Get Started to begin.